again with Dr. Leisha, the Preacha-OK. Okay, so I'm live. And yeah, I mean, like, we're in America, you know, we're in America. And here in America, it is literally a matter of black and white. It is. To me, those titles, names, black, white, are created, made up to establish a business. In order to have a business, you must have some type of competition. You have to have some type of component. You have to work. In order to work for yourself, you have to work against someone else. It's just natural chaos, I guess you could say, you know? It's twin energy, mirrored. There's not there's not a single word to describe splitting a cell, dividing purpose, multiplying, you know? Multiplication begins possibly with a single source because one times one is one, but yet one plus one is two. How can multiplication and addition be that damn different? But anyway, we that's going too deep. So yeah, multiplication is not an easy concept, especially when you live in a world of one plus one equals two. You know, when you go to the grocery store, gas station, and things like that, we live in a subtraction, addition type of world. But in the biblical world, it's based on multiplication. But anyway, so going back to the title, we live in a black and white business contract. And yes, there will always be other companies, countries that want to do business. They want to invest, you know, like number one, how about the original natives that were here? I mean, like, how can you just, you know, put this black and white shadow cloud over, you know, existing environments, natural habitat? So, you know, that's one investment interest knocking on the doors of this black and white world, you know. And then we have, you know, the people that are naturally border to us. And there may be some separation of water. And in some cases, the water is not even deep enough to need a boat, you know. So, you know, we have other countries that are like really close, like Mexico and, you know, whatever. You guys get the point, you know. So, again, in this black and white world that's trying to exclude everyone else. On our census, the United States Census um, record, it identifies, you know, black, white, regardless of the fancy titles of Caucasian or whatever, African American. But then on there, it has, I think it has, yeah, Native American is on there. I'm not sure how much weight it carries, but it's on there. Um, then I think maybe Asian is on there, maybe. I haven't seen it in a little bit. And then I think there's maybe like a other box or something. You know what I'm saying? So it's really difficult if you don't clearly fall into the white box, if you don't fall into the black box, if you don't fall into the Native American Indian box. I mean, you may be Indian, but you're not Native American Indian. So just like, what box do you check if you're not quite Native American Indian, but you're not quite black enough? So I see, VP Kamala Harris's issue. I see her issue. She don't really know what box she can't check the white box, because if you look at her, she's clearly not white enough to check the white box, regardless to her ancestry history. Regardless to her ancestry history, she is not white enough to check that damn white box, no matter who she is married to. She's not black enough to check the black box. She's just not. No matter who she has slept with, no matter who has she slept with, have slept with, she's not black enough to check that black box. She's not Native American Indian. She's Indian, but not Native American. She's an immigrant type of Indian, her mother. So she can't really check that damn box. And it's not fair to check other, because, I mean, damn, she spreads across the other boxes some kind of way or another. So that's why, I couldn't vote for her, but I couldn't be mad at her either. So if she got $1 billion or whatever she got, let her get her money and go. Let her get her money and go. There's not much more to accomplish with just five boxes that you can't even really check in peace. What kind of game system is that? I think we're cheated at least 7 more boxes. At least the Bible that they claim this country is founded on, at least in that Bible, it talks about 12 tribes. So we should have at least 12 census boxes, at least, at the minimum. I say 13, because those 12 brothers, those 12 tribes had a sister, a whole sister, who married somebody. Whether we agree with it, whether it was rape or not, that's debatable. Whether Sister Dinah, was raped or not is debatable. She willingly married this person and was gaining an entire nation through one marriage. She did not have to marry multiple men to be a wealthy woman like her brothers. I think her brothers were jealous. They felt and believed that they had to marry a whole bunch of women in order to gain their wealth. That's what they thought, and it may have worked for some, but it may have been more complex for others. I'm not judging. I'm just, based on what I read. So, at least 13 tribes or 13 census boxes need to be on there. One for each of the tribes that's biblically sound. Hello. And then a box for women. We just need a whole box. We need a nation for women. Because think about it, all those other boxes are 12 representing men. which is biblically sound, whatever, you know. But can we at least women have our own box? You know, and that way we can debate among ourselves and leave men out of our business. Some I don't think men need to even be talking up under women's clothes anyway. What happened to old school where men don't even talk up under our clothes? You know, if you ain't paying for my dress that day, then you can't speak on it. You know, if you're not paying for my dress, then you're not speaking up under the clothes. It is what it is. So we need a whole nation just for women. Dinah, her 12 brothers, not all of them, you know, but for the most part, those brothers went against their own father because their father had figured out and worked out a deal for his daughter to be married and everything. But the brothers were hateful, and a couple of them took it upon themselves. I think Levi and maybe Simeon or something like that. You know, the Leviticus, the priest tribe. That Pisces energy type people. I'm not hating nobody. I'm not hating on anyone, but I'm just saying, you know, what the story is based on what I read. So, anyway, yeah, we need more boxes on the census so that more people can be represented in this country in the right way without having to attack each other, you know, be at war, you know, because America has taken itself all over the globe, posting up stations and things, dominating, creating families, you know. So we need to have our country set up to represent the people that we have populated out there. They don't all need to run over here, but we do need to have our government set up to not rob, steal, kill anyone. Sometimes you have to represent everyone in order to unite at all. Within each of these nations, they can decide how they want to conduct themselves according to the biblical descriptions of their nations. Let them duke it out. Kind of like how we have the states. It's just that we have so many, 50 or whatever. So we need more boxes to move around and represent more people. We need to redistribute our land, redistribute our land. Stop being greedy with all these treaties. That's what these treaties are about, people being greedy. And then they don't want to honor them and all that, you know. When the government legally get away with crooked stuff, it influences the head of households. The head of households try to come up with little schemy ways to, you know, do things and stuff. And then the people in the family, you know, hear about it and then they grow up and start trying to do the stuff. And then, you know, the rules change on them. And, you know, so in my lifetime, the majority of the quote unquote Black men, according to our census, you know, availability, classifications, and things, the box that a person can check African American, Black, whatever is there, Negro, color, whatever. So basically, The black men in my family and in my neighborhoods, in my schools, my community, and I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. Okay. And I attended college in northern Michigan, in Big Rapids, Michigan, Ferris State, Bulldog Country. All my undergrad is there, and I earned a master's degree there. So, yeah. So, here in Michigan, most black men here in Michigan are married to or dating white women. That's just how life is here. Of course, there are some black men that are married to black women and have black children. Of course, there are. But that is not the norm here. It is not the norm. So, life in Michigan, most women here in Michigan know that the same men that you grow up with, at some point will no longer be available to you. They're not. A few will stay, and you will have to share those men. You have to share them. Some are good, some are bad, but that's what's left. Some of those men, very few, are monogamous and committed to their one wife and their children. But the majority of those men, whether legally married or not, are hopping from neighbor to neighbor to neighbor to neighbor. It's happened to me twice. I'm proof here in Michigan. But not only that, the majority of the men leave, and they leave to go to mostly white women, mostly. We know this. I mean, we're raised knowing this. We know this. We see it, we experience it, we brace ourselves, you know. And, it is what it is. So those that leave us, we know they're just gone. They're just going to go to white women or whatever other women because they have the right to have what they use the word preference. And when they throw the word preference at us, we just have to just grit our teeth, bear it, and share. Share. And that's it. It's just that simple here in Michigan. I don't know about other states. I haven't lived in other states long enough. I have, been in other states and have lived in other states, but not really long enough to have a history. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I grew up in Michigan, knowing that the same guys that, I learned with, played with, were educated with, and, went to church with and all that, they're not going to be the ones that are going to love me later. I knew that. But I also learned about myself that I did not want to leave outside of my quote unquote black race. Do I like other people outside of my race? Absolutely. I have a wonderful time with people. If it wasn't for people outside of my race, I probably wouldn't have a lot of good days. I probably would not have a lot of good days if it wasn't for the people outside of my race. But that is not enough temptation to leave my race on levels that matter, like legal marriage, having children, where I spend my money the most, and things like that. Do it hurt knowing that even the men that I love Even the men that I raised and fed and sacrificed for, just went on and, they're part of that statistic, a heavy, strong, thick statistic. My love, my care couldn't keep them. It couldn't keep them. And I knew it wouldn't. I'm not different from any other Black woman. And it's very crushing and heartbreaking. But all in the name of preference, I have to put on my big girl panties, grit my teeth, and just say I'm black and ugly. And I have to take it because she's preferred, whoever she is. She's preferred. I'm no longer preferred. And I'm not willing to jump over there. I ain't going. Even though I voted Republican, you know, again, I enjoy all other nations of people. We use the word race over here, but I use the word nation out of respect. But I enjoy all nations of people dancing, eating food, traveling, like the Bible say to do. But I have boundaries. Even though our people are the poorest people, our people are the least liked, and our men don't like our own women. They don't. And it's sad that no other man really want us, but our own men especially don't. And they think every other woman in the world is better than us. And even though I know all that, and I have a PhD, I'm not the dumbest woman among us. Definitely not the smartest because I ain't got the best PhD. It's a weak one. But it's strong enough to say I'm not the dumbest among the Black women. But at the end of the day, I'm committed to my people. And people may laugh at me and say, well, you're selling yourself short and all this kind of stuff. And fine, I am who I am and I do what I do. And it is what it is. And I was raised to know how I was going to be treated at the end of the day. I was raised, but I still gave it my all. I did not want to shortchange any Black man in my life. I believe all the Black men that cross my path are blessed and living their best life, the best life they can. You know what I mean? And they cannot say that I deliberately tried to hold them down on no regard. And I've always known they were going to leave me. I've always known it. Always. Because my own daddy did. And I don't expect no woman really on this earth to love me and be committed to me. I don't expect it. But I am committed to my daughters and my grandkids, no matter what. No matter what. That's my life. That's my story. That's my contract. I'm sticking to it. And when I have good days, whether people in my race or not contribute to it, when I have my good days, I just hope they're on cruise ships more and more. I just hope they're, among Caribbean brothers and sisters. Despite our differences, despite our misunderstandings, despite how our ancestors did us, and how this black and white America still do us, I still love us and enjoy our company. And I enjoy us. And I'm committed to us, even though we don't know how to love ourselves yet. We don't know how. And I forgive us for that. I have to forgive us for not knowing how to love ourselves. I have to forgive us, Black people, for not knowing how to put ourselves first. I have to forgive us for abandoning ourselves. I have to forgive us. I have to forgive my parents, your parents. I have to forgive my husbands. I have to forgive my children, my grandchildren, and I have to forgive myself. And this forgiveness doesn't mean that I have to put up with our bullshit either. I can forgive and not put up with the bullshit at the same time. Two things can happen at once. But yeah, almost all the men in my life, you know, are American. And because black men are not committed to black women enough, you know, that matters. I don't expect any other man to do it either. So all I can do is just enjoy them from a distance, mostly, and you know, and keep my kids and grandkids lifted up. Teach them how to live their best life, and just know that we live in America, and they will live in and also live in Michigan, and be the support that the women in their lives need. That's it. Thank you for tuning in to Dr. Alicia the Preacher. Oh, and again, Jonathan Majors, and it's no different from the men in my life. And Megan Good, she is well trained for the job. You know, I support the fact that they are in each other's lives. I support that. I think they are worthy friends. But what I don't support is them getting legally married. I think it's way too soon for them to be legally married. You know, she coming out of a 10-year marriage and he coming out of a history of violent relationships. It's just too soon for legal marriage, but I think it's healthy for their careers and just being, generally challenged people anyway. You know what I'm saying? Um, I think it's good for them to be friends and supportive of each other. But legal marriage is, like just way too soon, if even necessary at all. That's just my opinion, which don't mean nothing. But it may explain some of the stuff I post, because I post everything. I mean, I post the good comments about the stuff, and I post the bad comments about the stuff. Because on my channel, it's all about balancing the good and evils of life. There's good opinions, bad opinions, and everything is just, opinionated. So, you know, but I like going in the scriptures because the scriptures, some of the stories in the scriptures, put shame to some of the stuff we think we doing out here. We think we out here, being players and, hoes and, hustling and scheming and whatever. Read that Bible. My goodness, the Bible is full of stuff. I'd be like, wow. As long as I don't do this, I'm probably all right. you know? All right, guys. So that's my opinion about, this whole black and white thing in America, and how we need more than just black and white. We need actual national representation, like 12 to 13. How about like 12 actual nations, biblical nations, and a box for women? Just a whole box for us. We're a whole nation by ourselves. All by ourselves, we won. So just something to think about. Just throwing it out there. It may be laughable and it may make sense. I don't know. I'm just sharing what come to my mind. All right, guys. Y'all be blessed. Love you. Bye.